What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Daryl DTV. I'm glad you could join me. Hey, check this out. If you checked out my last video, it was a video called Vinyl Tag 2024. And basically, what that was is there's a gentleman by the name of Rob Walker. His channel is called Rob Walker Let the Music Play. And what Rob does every year is he comes up with 20 questions for people in the vinyl community to answer. He also answers all of these questions himself, and then he puts it out there to the vinyl community for those who want to participate to make a video answering the very same questions. And I guess he's been doing this for some years. I just recently found out about it and couldn't wait to be a part of it. So since my channel kind of focuses on a handful of things, but mostly vinyl and comic books, I decided that I wanted to make one more comic book related. And so Rob's challenge with vinyl inspired me to do one about comic books. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm also, just like Rob, I'm extending this invitation out to all you guys out there in the comic book community to do the same and answer these same questions. Now, I'm going to put these questions down in the description, and then those, and I hope it's a good number of you guys would like to participate and answer those same questions with a video of your own. So, what I did was I came up with 15 questions to answer, and we're just going to go from there. And I hope you guys enjoy this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And some of these questions are based off of some of the same questions that Rob asked in his challenge. So, sounds like a good time. Let's see. Let's get started. Okay, so the first question is, what is your most favorite comic book that you purchased in 2023? And for me, that book is Static number 40. I recently found out about this book, as I mentioned in a past video. I never knew who this character was. I don't recall ever seeing it. But what drew me to this book is it has the rap group The Lost Boys on the cover along with Static. Me being the rap fan that I am, that attracted me right away. And for those who might not be familiar, here's an album of The Lost Boys. This was the first album that they put out, and they were a hugely popular group. They had songs like The Yearn, Music Makes Me High, Jeep Selects Coupes, Beamers, and the Benz, Lifestyles of the Rich and Shameless, Renee, and so on and so forth. Get Up. I was banging all of these songs in the clubs from the 90s on, mid to late 90s and early 2000s. These were really, really popular songs. So that's who the Lost Boys are. And when I saw it, I immediately started looking for it. And I found out that this book, at the time at least, was going for anywhere from $160 up to just over $300. And so immediately I knew I'm never having this book, not as long as the prices are like that. And if you know me, you know I'm not spending any kind of crazy money on a comic book. And it was more of a book I just wanted for the cover more than anything else. But wow, I ended up finding this book at a local comic convention. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, I paid $20 for this book. I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't looking for it. I kind of came across it on accident. I tell that story in my video called Old Man Con. And I think it's Richard Corbin Old Man Con video, if you want to go back and check that out. So yeah, this is my most favorite comic book that I purchased in 2023 because it's probably one of the most expensive books that I never, didn't think I would end up grabbing. So yeah, there you go. Static number 40. Okay, question number 2. What's the last comic book that you bought in 2023? For me, it was Django Unchained number 6. I had a few of those books already, and I was trying to complete that run. I think I'm just missing one more at this point, but I saw this one online somewhere. wasn't a whole lot of money, but yeah, this is the uh, the last book I purchased in 2023, and you will be seeing this in an upcoming video. Question number 3. What is a comic book that you bought or you were given as a kid? What book were you given as a kid or you either bought yourself as a kid? For me, it was Warlord number 52, and my father actually bought this book for me. Um, I had a hospital stay. I was in the hospital for, I don't know, a week or two, um, and I just felt trapped and bored in there. And my father went out, and he probably just went to Walgreens or some store or newsstand that was selling comic books at the time, and probably grabbed the first book that he came across, and he brought it to me in the hospital. So this book is real sentimental to me because it was from my father, and yeah, my father always gave like the best gifts, and so yeah, it would be Warlord number 52, one of the best gifts I ever received. Okay, question number 4. Show a comic book from one of your favorite writers, and then show a comic book from one of your favorite artists, right? Any comic book in your collection, show one of your favorite writers, and show one from one of your favorite artists. For me, um, I kind of killed two birds with one stone, because the book I want to show you, the writer and the artist are actually the same person. And I could have picked any number of books from this particular run, but that person is the incredible Frank Miller. And this is Daredevil number 180. I picked this particular book because that whole Daredevil Frank Miller run was super incredible. I picked this one because this is one of the many memorable covers. I remember buying this and reading this, and just loving the story. I always felt like Frank Miller did more adult oriented themes, and me as a little kid, um, maybe not so little, but I think I was in middle school during this time. But me as a young guy, reading about New York City and the underworld there, the criminal world in New York, and Daredevil, like a lot of Marvel comics, based off of real places, actual places. This was just incredible. Um, Man, I'm the hugest Daredevil fan, as you can see, or that could stand for Daryl D as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, Frank Miller. Frank Miller's the man. He's the man. So that's my pick. I only had to grab one. Mr. Frank Miller, Daredevil number 180. Okay, question number 5. Show a mini comic or zine from your collection. Mini comic or zine. Um, just this past free comic book day for 2023, I met this guy Billy from Billy's Comics, which is his own indie comic company. He came out with a book called "What If Boba Fett fought Predator. And this was his own creation. He did the artwork as well as the writing in this book. Now, this is a full-size book, but the book that I actually want to show you, the mini comic, was actually a bootleg teaser for that book. What if Boba Fett fought Predator? So this book, he was just like a teaser for what was coming, and I got to pick both of these up from him over at Ash Avenue Comics, where he was making an appearance and kind of introduced this book. Now, if you're into bootleg comic books, if you're into indie stories and the whole what if genre, then I would strongly suggest you grab this book. This book has been selling for up to 50, 60 bucks, but there are a few places where you can still pick it up. So contact Billy over at Billy's Comics. He might even have a few more of these mini comics left, so you might be able to pick up one of those. But yeah, that's my pick for a mini comic or zine in my comic book collection. And whatever you pick, it's whatever you have in your collection that you may be able to share. It doesn't necessarily have to be from 2023. Big ups to Billy's Comics. Number 6. If you had to pick one decade for reading comics, any 10-year period for reading comics, what would it be? Well, for me personally, I'm going to pick the 80s. The reason that I'm picking the 80s is that was the time when I was just totally following a lot of exciting Marvel comic runs at the time. As I showed you, the Daredevil Frank Miller run, that's when I discovered Frank Miller during the 80s and that Daredevil run. And I was like, I bought every copy of that book every month. I couldn't wait for the next one to come out. At the same time, I was heavily into the Hulk run, heavily into the Avengers, and the Iron Man. I absolutely loved that time that those Iron Man books was coming out. I enjoyed Iron Man almost as much as the Daredevil run. So Marvel wasn't missing too much back during the 80s. So if there was ever a decade for me to read comics, or if I had to just pick one decade, it would definitely be the 80s. Okay, question number 7. Show a comic book from one of your favorite limited series titles. Now, these days, almost every book out is limited in some kind of way, shape, or fashion. But I'm going to go back to the beginning. Let's go back to Marvel Comics. And Marvel Comics had Contest of Champions. This was the very first limited series comic book put out by any major comic book company. I picked this because I bought this when it came out, and I thought it was incredible to have every last single Marvel superhero packed into one book. I mean, look at all of the people on the cover. This was an incredible idea. It was a great story, and it was the first of its kind. They only had 3 issues of 3-issue run of this, and actually I have the other 2 issues to show from that run. But yeah, this is the one that started it all, Contest of Champions, and it's not a hard book to find. It's not a expensive book to get your hands on. So I would strongly recommend it and see where that whole limited series craze started. It was right here with Contest of Champions. Question number 8. Show a comic book from your collection that you never thought you'd actually own. Any comic book from your collection that you never thought you'd actually own. Well, for me, It was the Spectre number 54. Now, most of these books are not very expensive, but this particular book had the Richard Corbin cover. And if you followed any of my other comic videos, you know that I've been on a quest to find every book that Richard Corbin was a part of. This particular book happened to be one of those super expensive books. At the time that I was looking for this, I think the cheapest I saw this book go for was anywhere between $140 up to maybe 320 bucks. I saw them all within that range. There's only one place in town, one comic shop in town that actually had a copy of that. And if I remember correctly, theirs was around 120 bucks. So again, I wasn't ever going to spend that type of money. And I eventually found one online. And if my memory serves me correct, I think I paid about 40 bucks for it. So I wasn't expecting that. And 40 bucks still is a lot of money for me to be spending on any one comic book, unless it's something super, super old and super rare. But I found this for 40 bucks. I couldn't pass that deal up. Of course, right after I bought it, I started seeing prices drop, but still nowhere near the $40 that I found this one for. So when I saw the prices and what they were going for, I thought, yeah, I'll never have that one. But miraculously, it fell into my lap. So I was really happy to add that to my collection. So yeah, the Spectre number 54. I never thought I'd have this in my collection. Number 9. Show an autographed comic book from your collection. Any autographed book you might have, show from your collection. Well, for me, it would be issue number 27 of Chew. I remember I've always been kind of a on again, off again comic book collector, and what I mean by that is like collecting regularly. But during one of my off periods, I was hanging out in a comic book shop because I would always still kind of hang out here and there. But I saw I was in Ash Avenue Comics, a local shop here, and I saw this Chew book, not this particular book, but an earlier issue. I think at that time they were maybe around issue number 10 or 15, somewhere in there. And I flipped through it and I was immediately attracted to it. I don't know what drew me to that book, but once I started flipping through it, I loved the artwork. I wasn't exactly sure what the story was about, but I purchased it. This is the book that got me back into collecting comic books regularly, and I haven't stopped since then. So I went back and got all of the earlier issues of Chew, and then at the very next comic convention that took place here in Phoenix, I went there, and the creators, let me make sure I get this right, John Layman and Rob Guillory, were set up. And I don't think the book had totally blown up at that point, because when me and a buddy of mine approached their table, we were the only two guys there. So I don't think if you know about this book, you know that this book like really, really blew up and took off. But those guys were really cool, and they signed this book for me. And it's one of the only, actually, this might be the only autograph book in my collection, other than like indie guys, like, you know, the smaller independent writers and artists and whatnot. But as far as like a major publishing company, I believe this is the only autograph book that I have in my collection. And so yeah, this book is special to me too. This whole run is special to me. I think it went like 60, 62 issues or something like that. And I heard they were supposed to make a movie out of it, but I don't know whatever happened to that. But yeah, this is definitely the book that got me back into collecting on a regular basis. Chew number 27. Okay, question number 10. What's my most or your most favorite video that you posted on your channel? And then what's your most favorite video that you watched on another YouTuber's channel who's a part of the comic book community? Okay? So in 2023, what is your most favorite video that you posted on your channel? And then what's your most favorite video from another comic collector's channel that you watched in 2023? Well, for me, that was kind of a hard question as far as my favorite video, because I do a lot of different videos on different topics. Mostly it's vinyl and comic books, but I have a lot of other topics on there too. Not, there's a good handful or so of topics. But if I had to pick from one of my comic book videos, I suppose it would be one of my underground comic claim videos. And the reason why I've done like 3 or 4 of them, and they're all pretty much titled the same, underground comic claim video or whatever. The reason why I picked one of those is because not only do I get to show some cool underground comic books, which you don't get to see a whole lot, but also I got to make some money in the process. And they've all been really successful. And just want to take a moment and thank everybody who has actually bought from me. Because, when you're into the undergrounds, you just don't come across them too often at the comic book shops. At least I don't. So, and I know a lot of other people feel that way too. So I've been able to actually sell a lot of underground books, and I have a lot more to sell as well. So I would pick one of the underground comic claim videos that I posted. Now, as far as my most favorite book or my most favorite video from another comic collector in the comic community here on YouTube, I would probably pick a video simply titled Underground Comics Haul. And that video was done by Comic Crack. It's cool collector from Canada. That's kind of cool. Cool collector from Canada. Anyway, yeah, that video popped up in my feed one day, and I watched it, and I think I probably watched that video 10 times over the last year, between 2023, and I think I may have first watched it at the very beginning of 2023. But yeah, that's my favorite video that I saw. That kind of introduced me to Comic Crack's channel. He's got a lot of cool videos. I think he may have actually posted that video several years ago, but that was probably my favorite video from 2023. Okay, question number 11. Show a comic book that you received as a gift from someone, anyone, in 2023. Has anyone given you a comic book as a gift in 2023? For me, yes. There's been a few, but maybe, just maybe 1 or 2 actually. But the one I picked, again, from Mr. Comic Crack himself, Den issue number 8. Now, on my videos, I think, on one of my Richard Corbin videos, I mentioned that I was trying to complete this Den run and that I was missing number 8 because number 8 was just eluding me. I mean, they were out there, but they were more than I wanted to spend at the time. And so Comic Crack saw the video and said, hey, you know what? I have an extra copy. If you like, it's yours. And of course, I was like, yes, absolutely. And he was nice enough to ship this all the way from Canada. here to the United States. He's a gentleman and a scholar, and I really appreciate his generosity. And man, if you could see this book up close, this is in pristine condition. I mean, for you people who are obsessed with grading and condition, this isn't a 9.8. This is more like a 12.2 in condition. CGC won't even go near this. They're not even qualified to grade such a pristine comic book. They're gonna have to get a whole lot more schooling before they can get near this baby right here. But yeah, this was my gift. One gift that I got in 2023. Thank you, Crack. I appreciate it, man. Okay, here's a fun one. Question number 12. Show a comic book from your collection that you would love to have been on the cover. Any comic book that you would have loved to have been a part of the cover. Well, for me, I remember this was maybe a year and a half ago or so. I was in Michigan and I was digging through the 50-cent comic books, and I came across this comic book called Loose Ends. This is issue number 1, and just let me put this a little closer. There, you see that? You see that beautiful sister right there? Yeah, you can just slide me right in here. The artist, I don't know who this guy is down here, but get him out of there. And you see how she's got her arm out right here? Just slide me right in there. Just right in there. And trust me, I'll do the rest. You know, I'm a veteran at this. Trust me. Just put me right in there next to this sister. And yeah, I'll take it from there. I promise you. This was like a limited 4-issue run on this title. And really, you can look at any of those covers on any 4 of those books, and you can just slide me right in there anywhere, you know. But yeah, this Loose Ends number 1. Yeah, it would have been cool to have been a part of that cover. Which one would you pick? Okay, question number 13. Show a comic book from your collection that is based off of television, a movie, or music. Any comic book from your collection based off of television, a movie, or music. Well, the comic book that I chose to show you is The Warriors. That's issue number 1. Iconic movie from, when did that come out? In the 70s? Or was it the 80s? New York, gang life, that whole thing. But yeah, this is a cool cover. This is such a cool cover. Let me get that glare out of there. Let me just pull this out and give you a better look at this. Yeah, this was just one of those movies that had a serious cult following from back in the day. And there's so many comic books based off of television, movies, or music. So I know you guys got to have some of these in your collection as well. But for me, it was The Warriors. Okay, number 14. Name 3 comic community channels that you've discovered in 2023. There's 3 that come to mind right away, but before I share those, let me just point out a couple of other channels that I think deserve honorable mentions. I've popped in and out of videos here and there, but some channels that I've follow now, one of them is Lunch Money Comics. I like the way this guy goes out, takes his camera out to different flea markets and garage sales, thrift stores, and even comic book shops, and he finds some really cool books. I dig his channel. Another channel that I recently discovered was Garage Geek. He's got a fun channel. He, like me, talks about a lot of comics as well as a lot of music. and he also talks about a lot of books. But his comic videos are a lot of fun, and just a laid back, cool dude. I really enjoy his channel as well. And I can't forget Sleepy Reader, uh, 666. He is, I always describe myself as a grown kid. I'm like a grown kid, and I'm always gonna be a grown kid. And Sleepy Reader kind of gives off that same vibe. Like he's just having the time of his life, still collecting and reading and buying books. And I really dig his channel. His videos are very entertaining. So I would definitely like to mention him as well. But if I had to narrow it down to three that I discovered in 2023, one I would say Mint Hunter Comics. I enjoy his channel. He does a lot of interesting. He talks about a lot of interesting comic book topics, and he goes all over the place. I never really know exactly what he may talk about. How he comes up with some of these topics is something else. And then he does like live claim videos once or twice a week too. And there's a lot of claim videos out there, but what I enjoy about his is he sells a lot of classic books from Marvel and DC from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So it's always fun revisiting a lot of those books, as well as seeing a lot of books that I'm not, really familiar with, especially from DC, because I was more of a Marvel head than a DC head. Another channel that I would put in the three that I discovered is Gore Vidal. I dig his channel, very interesting. He really gets into the guts of a lot of books. Um, and he's got that cool laid back voice too. Gore Vidal he sounds like one of those millionaires that sits in their mansion and smokes cigars and talks to supermodels on the phone. He just always sounds like he's just laid back and chilling in the cut. You know what I mean? Just all smoothed out. So check his channel out too. And then wow, I gotta go back to Comic Crack again. I can't remember if it was late 2022 or early 2023, but we'll throw him in 2023. I really dig his channel. Just a regular guy, serious comic collector, reads a lot of books, tells you about all of the books he reads. Just a very interesting guy, and his palette for comics and artists is like really, really broad and wide, and he checks out a lot of stuff. So I enjoy his channel as well. So those would be the three that I would like to point out, and I'll definitely put the links to their channels in the description, because you guys are gonna want to check those guys out. Actually, everybody that I mentioned, but those three definitely in particular. So yeah, those are three channels from the comic book community that I discovered in 2023. Okay, question number 15, our last question. Show a comic magazine from your collection. Any comic magazine from your collection. Well, the magazine that I chose to show, this was like from the beginning of comic magazines when I discovered this as a kid. It's the Rampaging Hulk. This is issue number 1, and I just remember feeling like, wow, because back when I was a kid, magazines were more for grown-ups. Comic books were for kids. Magazines were for grown-ups. So to see those two combine was really, really interesting to me. And I always felt like I was like a young kid reading an adult book. Adult as in, a lot of these early books, the Hulk, the Conans, um, were in black and white. And so that was just, kind of threw me off. I would get my hands on certain sci-fi books or certain horror books, epic and eerie and creepy magazines. Some of those, but the Hulk, man, was like my favorite of all of those back then. And I always felt like I was kind of, you know, in the adult world of comic book reading whenever I would get my hands on one of these. So I have this entire run of Hulk magazines. And so this is like, as far as comic magazines, this was the one that just started it all for me. So that would be my choice of, a comic magazine that I could share with you guys from my collection. Okay, so there you have it. This is Comic Tag 2023. And I had fun doing it. I hope some of you guys will also get into it and participate. If you do, just make sure you add the tag of Comic Tag 2023 so everybody can find you. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Rob Walker. His channel is called Rob Walker Let the Music Play on YouTube, and it's a vinyl page. So if you're into vinyl, make sure you go check him out. But I want to thank him for inspiring me to do this Comic Tag 2023. And yeah, we'll just, hopefully this will take off to a certain extent, and we'll be able to do this every year. Let's see where it goes, okay? Thank you guys for hanging out. This is Daryl D, and we'll see you on the next video.